All right, so in this tutorial, I want to show you how to take the results of a Google form and separate them out into individual sheets based on some criteria. So in our sample sheet here, we've had a number of employees fill out a form asking them what department they go to and whether or not they carpool on their way to work. Now, when we want our department leads to see this, the engineering department doesn't need to see the design or the payroll, and vice versa. So we just want them to see the results of their department's employees. So to start off, what I want to do is copy all of this data into a separate sheet. So over in this tab, we only want the responses from the people who marked themselves as engineering. So the first step in doing that is to import all of the data from the original sheet using import range. And this takes two arguments. The first is the URL in double quotes, and the second is the range of the data, also in double quotes. So I'm just going to set that, and I'm going to go back over to the source. And in this form, we're going to use the share link. So easy enough, you hit share, and you'll see everyone who you've already shared it with. And down here, you want the get link. So the default response will be a little different depending on either your personal settings or your organization settings if you're using a business Google account. But either way, it should be available for you to copy the link at least. So we'll hit share, we'll copy the link, go back over to our sheet, and we'll paste that into our URL. And that will bring that data over. Now, in this case, the data is on sheet 1, and we want A through D. So if we go back over and select our range, I usually like to use that one. And we want sheet 1 is the tab name, exclamation point, A through D, and close quotes. And if we hit enter, it will open. Sometimes it will ask you to, it will give you an error and ask you to link the form. It's easy enough if you just scroll over it, it'll pop up and say linked sheets. And in this case, we don't have to do that. So now that we have the range, this is all of the data, but this is the engineering tab. So we want to filter that down to just the ones who mark their department as engineering. Now you could just do this with filter and just select your filter, but I prefer to use query. It gives you a little more control. It is harder to use, but I generally like it. Once you get used to it, it's not too difficult. So first, we just want to start off by selecting everything. And we do that with select all. And all you mark with just an asterisk. And the last one is, the last argument is how many header lines it has, which is usually 1. Sometimes it isn't. I've had many more, but in this case it's just 1. So we didn't get any errors, so that's good. So now we can start filtering out our data. So the way we do that is back in our query, we want to select all, but we want to select all where column 3, that's column C, so 1, 2, 3, where column 3 equals and in single quotes, engineering. And that will filter out only the engineering team. So at this point, this is probably enough. If you just need to separate it by this, you've got your engineering team all on one sheet. I can submit more into the responses, and this will automatically pull new data from the source form. So this is enough if that's all you need. If you want to do more, what you can do is sort of start cleaning it up using query. So the biggest thing I like to do is this has already been filtered. We know it's the engineering department. They don't need this department column taking up space. And the way we get rid of that is instead of selecting all, which will select all the data, we want just specific columns. So we want our timestamp, which is A, which is column 1. We want our name, which is column 2. We don't want column 3. We do want column 4. And now when we do that, it's now filtered out that row. And that sort of just makes it a little neater, a little cleaner, better to look at. And makes stuff easier later on if you need it. What we can also do is say you want to do a VLOOKUP and you want to use, say, the name as your reference. So you want to look up the name and pull data. Then you may want to ensure that the name is all the way on the left. So if we want to look up the timestamp, what time did Emma fill out this form, I wouldn't be able to do a VLOOKUP because it's to the left and it needs to be to the right. So what we can do is, instead of just selecting our columns, we can rearrange them. So our first one is actually column 2. Our second one is column 1. So now we have our name on the left, then our timestamp, then our carpool, and you can arrange this however you want, filter out whatever data you need. And that's probably the most useful thing. That's why I prefer query over just filter. It gives you a lot of control. You can move stuff around, filter extra stuff out, and you just have a lot more versatility. So from here, now we have our engineering. So say this is the setup we want for every department. So if we go back to our responses, we had our other departments, which are payroll and design. So we like this layout. We want to use this for the rest of them. Well, we don't have to redo all of this in a new form. We can just hit File, make a copy, and we will name this one Payroll. And if it's going to the same people, you can click Share. If you don't, then say I'm making this in my personal drive, so only I have access. So I want to control who this goes out to. So we'll go back to just being accessible by me. So I'll hit OK. And we now have a new form under payroll with all the same data. Now this is easy enough. Up here where we filtered for engineering, we just want to change that to payroll. And now we are only seeing our payroll employees. And again, if you want, you can rearrange stuff, filter new stuff. But generally what I've found is once you get one format that works, that you like, just reuse it. And if you need to make changes, then deal with that as it comes up. So that's all I have for this tutorial. I hope you found it useful. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I'll try to answer them. And thanks for watching. Bye.